Welcome back in. Well, it's not something you want to prepare for, but it is important to do ahead of time. CPA Charlie Heid is here to talk with us more about how to start those sometimes difficult conversations about estate planning. Yeah, Charlie, there's a variety of reasons why folks may not want to talk about that with their kids. First of all, we don't want to think about dying, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, mortality, and none of us do.
Right.
And you can put your parents in that same, boat. Some other reasons, my parents were extremely private. And so they didn't like to share a lot of that. And I think there's that older generation, it could be like that. There are some that are very open about it and share everything with the kids about, this. And, and the other thing is, and I say this, I experienced this personally.
Yeah.
When my mom started to show early signs of dementia, she got very angry when we talked about this. Like, you're trying to steal our money. And, and the way I always described it is, the best planning mom is you came into this world with nothing and you leave with nothing. We're not trying to steal your money.
Right. We're not trying. So it's difficult, but what do you recommend? You definitely recommend, having these conversations sooner rather than later.
Number one, don't wait. Try anything to get that discussion going. If you've got a large family of siblings, maybe talk to them first and say, how do we start this conversation with mom and dad? But do it. And the biggest thing is when you start that, make it simple about, let's start with what documents you have. Do you have a will? Do you have a power of attorney? Do you have a living will? Healthcare power of attorney? Your bank accounts? Where's your, what banks do you use? Do you have a personal banker, or do you have a banker you go to? Start at advisors. Do you have an attorney who's drafted it? Learn that. That's easy discussions.
Yeah.
You're not trying to
get into the
insert,
nitty-gritty.
right, exactly. Once you get those, then you can then start to bridge, okay, when's the last time you reviewed your will? Is it still good? And what I have found in some cases, people did the will 20 years ago. And things have changed, and they start reading as, well, that isn't what I meant to do.
Right.
So it's a chance you're working with them to say, we just want to make sure your wishes are going to be addressed.
Yeah. So you mentioned some of the things, when you talk about a will, things like that. But what are some of the other important topics to cover?
Oh, so there's so many.
It's complicated, but that's why we got to talk about it.
There's so many. So when you think about it, like life insurance, retirement plans, when's the last time have they looked at their beneficiaries?
Oh, right.
Especially if you have a blended family. It could be a second marriage. Well, what if that life insurance policy hasn't been updated since you've gotten remarried? And that could be a real eye-opener when that policy gets cashed out.
Yikes. Yeah, you don't want something like that happening, that's for sure. So are there anything that we shouldn't say? Like, we talk about what we should say, the things we should talk about, but is there anything that we should really not say?
And I'm being perfectly honest. We're all human, and sometimes these conversations get emotional.
Yeah.
You need to really keep the emotion out of it. That's the biggest thing, because parents will shut down when you're having that discussion if if it's getting uncomfortable. So you need to figure out ways to redirect the discussion to get to the end game. But yeah, you definitely avoid emotional discussions, avoid doing it in a very, you're having a celebration, a party. That's not the time. It's a time to maybe bring up the topic, but it's not the time to have the discussion when grandkids are running around.
Right. So yeah, make sure you have the right setting, you're in the right headspace, things like that. Yeah. Any final thoughts though on what to include in this discussion?
The biggest thing and final thoughts would be, don't wait, and that's number one. I can tell you so many times with my own parents, I just delayed in doing it. And health comes into it down the road. And so you want to try and do it while they still are healthy, they're still able to cognitively think about what they want versus trying to do it when their memory's going. That's the biggest thing, is to just keep it moving, and every step forward is a step closer to the end.
Yeah, and you never know, because health can deteriorate pretty quickly too. So things might seem okay one day, and then, the next we know.
I feel it every day getting out of bed.
Right? No, yeah, I feel it too. Great insight and good information, Charlie. Thanks for being here today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.